Styles in Word. In this next segment, we're going to be working with modifying styles and firstly creating new styles in Word. Suppose you want to create your own style. You don't want to work with any of the styles that come with Word. You want to create your own. What we first have to do is launch the Styles task pane. So I'm going to click over here and you can see the pane in view. Down at the bottom, we'll note that the first command here out of 3, when I point to it, says New Style. When I click, the Create New Style from Formatting dialog box appears. The first property, Name, asks us to put in a new name. So how about if I just put in something like Style Example. The next choice, Style Type, asks us what type of style do we want to work with here. Our style type default is paragraph. You might recall I suggested to you that that's the most popular type of style. But we've got the character style, linked, which is truly paragraph and character, and then we've got table and list. Let's choose paragraph. Based on every time you create a new style, that style, it has to have a base style that it's going to be working with. By default, normal will be chosen. Or, depending on where your cursor is, it might come up with heading 1 or 2. It happens to be that my cursor's in a paragraph right now that has normal style associated with that paragraph. And again, if I was in, let's say, Policies and Procedures manual, this would be actually heading 1, and Word would think I'm trying to base a whole new style using heading 1 as the style. But I can choose any one of these styles to be my starting point. I'm going to still, though, select normal, keep it as normal, so it works with normal style. That is our default style type, by the way. Normal is the style used anytime we create a new blank paragraph, or pardon me, a new blank file. Normal has its own formats. Here we can see, though, Calibri Body and 10 points are the two formats that are associated with normal. Let's base it as our style for our new style. When you complete using a style in one paragraph and then you want to create a new one, do you want the new style to continue on into the next paragraph, or do you want it to stop or change to another type of style? For the following paragraph, we can change it back to normal if we want. And this is like you're imagining when you've pressed enter, what do you want the next new paragraph style to look like? Or do you want it to heading 1, or do you want it to still stay as style example? I'm going to keep it as normal. These two rows, or they look like toolbars, offer up some of the more popular formatting choices. Font character, font size, bold, italics, underline, and font color. These are the big 6 formats for fonts. And then in the second row, it offers up in the first 4 grouping our alignment for paragraphs, spacing for paragraphs in the second grouping, increase or decrease our spacing for paragraphs, and also decreasing and increasing our indents. If you want more formats, you go to the Format command at the bottom left, and working with each one of these choices here, you can really spice up your style. I click on Font, and perhaps I want small caps, and maybe I want to change my style for my underline. Notice the preview. When I click OK, you'll also notice that Word is taking a note of what I've just picked, and it shows me double underline, small caps. I'm going to finish off with bold. Let's say change the font size and the color. Once I click OK, after noting what it has noted here for me under the preview, you can see how Style Example is over here on the right for me to use, and where my cursor was, it has applied it to that paragraph. I could continue using it. When I click on another paragraph here, I'll choose Style Example, and you can see how Style Example now is in use for these 2 paragraphs. If I change my mind, I might want to consider modifying, in other words, my style. I can simply hover over the style I want to modify, and when I click on the down arrow, choose Modify, and this time in my Modify Style dialog box, I can work with any one of these formats. So let me just pick another color, and when I click OK, you can see how the two paragraphs that were set as style example are now changed. I'm going to reveal my style area pane just to make it easier on myself to see how many styles are in this file. So remember, I go from print layout to draft, and because I retain the style area width from File, Options, and under the Advanced category, Display, you can see how it is now revealing for me that I've got style example in here twice. Perhaps when I modify a style, I want to include a keyboard shortcut. In other words, when I want to use a style, I would like to use my keyboard to do so instead of clicking on a style. So I need to modify a style in order to do that. I'm going to work with heading 2. I'm going to modify heading 2, and this time on the bottom left, when I choose Format, I'm going to choose Shortcut Key. When I'm in Shortcut Key, it actually comes up with Customize Keyboard dialog box. Heading 2 is the command, and you can see the cursor is flashing under Press New Shortcut Key. But first, let's look on the left area here under Current Keys to see if there are any keyboard shortcuts for heading 2, and there aren't. So what I'm going to do is give you a good tip or trick when it comes to naming your keyboard shortcuts for your heading styles. Control-Shift-2. Control-Shift-2 gives me Control, and if you look at your keyboard, Shift-2 is the @ symbol. Is it currently assigned, you ask? Well, it actually is prefix key. I've played around with my Shift-2, and over the years, I don't see it behaving much for me. It tends to behave or act like a tab on my keyboard. So I'm going to assign, and now Control-Shift-2, which is my Control @ symbol, is for heading 2. I'll close. Don't forget to click OK, because that's setting it. And when, let's say, I go to Commission here that needs to have a heading 2, I do a Control-Shift-2, and now I've got heading 2 assigned. What about heading 1? Well, when I go to Modify, I can go to that Format area shortcut key and Control-Shift-1. It happens to be that Control exclamation mark is currently unassigned. I assign, close, OK. And if I just want to quickly test this out, I'll just stay here in Commission and do Control-Shift-1, and now I've got a heading 1. Do you remember what the keyboard shortcut is for heading 2? Yes, Control-Shift-2. So if you'd rather, you can use keyboard shortcuts to assign or use styles instead of working with your quick styles here or your styles pane.